When we're painting the landscape, we want to be able to paint what we see, but we want our work to be more than just a copy of the visual field. We want it to be an expression of it. This is a tall order. We need to make that shift from a naive or amateurish way of painting or seeing, really, to a more painterly expression of the landscape. Our brain at first is really just making symbols of what we see. So, of course, the tricky part is getting from here to there. Of course, all of what we've been working on is, I hope, getting you there, but there are a couple things in particular that I think can help us. In this first example, I'm picking a pastel that has a particular hue and a particular value and intensity, and I'm filling each of the masses, the shapes of my little drawing with that pastel in a very flat manner. This is all very well and good, but for myself, I want my paintings to be more painterly, to have more luminosity, a more prismatic play of color. So how exactly do we get there? In this example, you'll notice that I'm starting in exactly the same way. I'm picking a pastel with a particular value, hue, and intensity, and I'm filling my shape, but this time I'm not filling the shape completely. I'm using a light touch, not filling the tooth of the paper completely. Next, I'm picking up a second stick that is in the same color family, but of slightly different hue and slightly different intensity. And then yet another stick that is in the same family, but a slightly different hue and slightly different intensity. And filling the shape with those 3 different sticks. Could be 4, could be 5. Moving on to the next shape, doing the same thing. See, light touch. I'm not completely filling the tooth. Picking up another stick that's slightly different, same family, different intensity. And here I'm just showing you some swatches of those first yellow sticks. You can see the difference there. And here are the swatches of the green that I used. And here I'm following suit with each of the shapes. A little bit lighter touch. Just getting something in. And then choosing something else. So my study is much more painterly than the first example, and I stayed within the color family for each of the shapes. Now we're going to try an example that moves outside of that a bit. Okay, for this example, I'm still picking a pastel of a particular hue, value, and intensity, not filling the entire tooth of the paper, kind of a thin application, kind of wash-like. And this time I'm going to pick up another stick that is a slightly different hue. This one is more on the peach side, the pink side. So in this way, I'm getting a real prismatic play of color within each of my shapes. I'm wanting to keep the sticks just about the same value. Okay, this time in the green foreground, I'm going to start out with that same green. Nice and light application. But next I'm going to reach for something that is a little bit different on the color wheel. So I'm going towards that blue. And I'm just going to wash that in. Real easy, does it? Still not entirely filling the tooth. And next I'm going to try something even a little different. A little bit of purple. It's pretty fun. And I'm going to use the same process for each of my shapes. So this example has a nice painterly feel, some optical mixing going on there, especially in the sky. It's really vibrating. That's really good. So now are some other examples. The second idea that I think can help us improve our paintings is to paint the negative shapes. This is something that we traditionally think of applying to drawing, but not so much to our painting. In this little demo, I show you how I use the negative shapes in painting a lot. Okay, I want to show today how I paint foliage with the negative shapes. Now, this is something that I do all the time. It makes painting foliage really fun and pretty easy. So one of the things that I want to show you, first of all, is that I'm always going to plan for the foliage shape. In other words, I would not come across and paint the sky behind the foliage and try to get a foliage mass over the top. So I'm going to plan for my foliage shape. So here's my foliage mass, and here's my ground plane and my skies behind. So I'm going to come in and set in a little bit of value down here at the bottom. I'm going to have a gradation in my foliage from the ground up. Now I'm going to go ahead and get a little color, and in this case I'm going to do some fall foliage. So I'm going to put in just a nice light wash with, I'm using the side of my stick here. I'm not using the tip like this. I'm using the whole length of my pastel here. Now watch this. This is really really fun. I'm going to get the sky in around my foliage now. See that? And I'm also using the side of the stick here, picking out already some little sky holes. There's my sky. And now I want a gradation in my sky, so I'm going to switch to a little bit lighter pastel. So you see I'm doing my tree here with the negative shapes. Going to make sure that there's a nice variety of sizes of these little holes so they look natural. Knit this together a little bit. I might even come across my sky and make it a little bit darker up here at the top. Now I can let this drift into the top of my foliage if I want. Knit that all together. And there you have it. That's how I do foliage shapes. There's a ground plane. But that's essentially how I paint my foliage. I may want to come in and give my foliage a little bit more of a direction of light as the light's coming from this direction. Now that's it, guys. Hi there, thanks for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe, it helps us out, and click the bell icon to get notifications. We have lots more coming for you.